Have you ever started something with your money, like opening a savings account or creating a budget or maybe setting up QuickBooks, but then you never follow through? Or maybe you could be just the opposite. You grip so tightly, it's got to be perfect that you end up giving up. That's the world of the half steppers. They are the final category of money rolls that we're going to dive into inside our money roll series. We're going to share one small shift that you can make if you find yourself that you've stepped into one of these roles. So let's get to it. Welcome back to Money Simplified. I'm your host, Aimee Cerka. Today we are diving into the final category of sabotaging money roles that we see. We've been pulling back the curtain on the hidden roles that we play with money. They aren't these things. These roles aren't who you are. They're just characters that you've slipped into. And of course, the best part is you get to choose a new role at any time. So we're going to talk about some of the most common money roles in the half-stepper category, how they show up in everyday life, and how you can make small shifts to step into something healthier. If you missed it, we covered the earners who are leaking money, the avoiders, and then last week was the overdoers. And then of course, today we're going to dive into the half steppers. So the first half stepper, which is probably going to be more as we dive into it, that we want to cover is the safety saver. The safety saver hoards cash, but they won't invest. You're sitting on savings. You've got this massive savings that you're sitting on, but you're avoiding hiring for that much needed support. You refuse to invest in training or support despite having the money to be able to do so. You stash money away in a low yield savings account and never touch it. This one I see all the time. Like, gone are the days where it makes sense to have 6 months worth of savings just sitting in a savings account. Like, there are smarter ways to leverage your money. We are in 2025. But that fear shows up for that safety saver. And it's like, what if something happens? And we avoid using the resources. The root here of the safety saver is kind of the name. It's all about safety. We have that fear of we're not going to be okay. And there are ways to make sure that we are okay. To make sure like you feel that peace and the stability. And I've had times where I've needed more to feel safe. And then there's times where I've needed less. And like, that's okay. It can fluctuate. But if you are paralyzed from that need of safety, that's where we've got to make a change. So your mini shift is I want you to designate a small percentage for growth. It could be growing your support team. It could be learning, because, maybe that's reassuring for you. Like, they can't take away what you know. So what if you invest in learning more? But we have to designate the money, which is built into the budgeting simplified system. If you've got my budgeting system, we have this built in to help you do the things that we need to within our money, right? So if you're finding yourself falling into the safety saver, designate that small percentage, 2%, 5%, 10%, something for growth. Whether it's growth for you learning a new skill, whether it's growth for your team getting the support you need, or something else. Growth. Okay? The next half stepper is the half step strategist. They start strong, but they stop halfway. You open the savings account, but there's no money in it. You got the new budgeting tool, but it's not set up. You sign up for the money workshop. You sign up for this, but then you don't ever actually use it. You don't do anything with it, right? Like, you've got the program. You've got my budgeting simplified program or simplifying QuickBooks, but you never did anything with it. Like, it's just sitting there. I feel like that's it, right? Like, there's almost like, okay, underneath here, behind the scenes, what's going on with the half-step strategist? We get that dopamine hit from the start. It's like, woohoo, I did it. I'm feeling good. I took action. But the fear shows up, whatever the fear might be, or maybe we just get distracted. You didn't make it a priority, and then it falls off to the wayside. your mini shift, if it's the half step strategist, you've got to have that accountability, that follow through. So what is one of those things that you started but you haven't finished that you really want to work on? Set a reminder to do it once a month. Execution Lab will be a really great thing for that because it reminds you to do the things that you need to with your money at least once a month. That's what it was designed for. It's amazing how many of these programs, it's like I know what I'm talking about or something. All right, I'm having fun with this. Execution Lab, in all seriousness, would be a great place for this because it helps keep you accountable. It helps you to follow through. And I work to make sure that I don't let you get distracted and still manage to avoid it, which, hey, that was another category of money rolls. The link for Execution Lab will be in the show notes. It's only $9 a month right now. But if it's not Execution Lab, it's something. Set a reminder, make it a priority to continue to take action on it. Okay? The third one for today is the Spreadsheet Dreamer. They love creating systems, but don't stick with them. Now, I love like a gorgeous spreadsheet just as much as anybody. Like, yes, love all the spreadsheet, the data, the numbers. It's fun. Okay, I enjoy creating them too. That's why I created the systems, right? But the problem with the Spreadsheet Dreamer is similar, because again, this is the half steppers. We don't stick with them. So we spend all this work creating this beautiful, gorgeous budget in January, but by February, we've forgotten about it. Or you've color coded expense categories, but you don't actually enter the data. The thing is here, behind the scenes, you love the idea of systems more than the actual use of them. There's an avoidance here that you get to do. Do you see how these all intersect, right? We get, again, that dopamine hit from creating the system, and it's the fun, pretty thing, but we don't want to actually use them because then we'd have to face what the shame that might show up from what the numbers might be. Okay? So again, similar action step is revisit one of these beautiful systems that you've created that you love, and weekly for 10-15 minutes. Monthly, again, Execution Lab, right? Set time to work on it. You've got to make it a priority. That's the only way to get into momentum. And ideally you're doing this with support so they can help you see those blind spots when you're avoiding them. Because that's the thing. Like, there's no mirror, right? Like, you can't see where you're struggling. That's the benefit of coaching. The next one I've got for you today is the card juggler. This is fun. They shuffle debt until one late fee screws everything up, right? This is the robbing Peter to pay Paul, and you've got all the disciples involved. You're moving balances around, you're moving payments around, you're like paying this on this one. Okay, now I've got room over here. I want to pay this here. But you're never actually making progress. You're not reducing debt. Like you're juggling. Card juggler. I completely forgot that's what I called it there for a second. But you're moving things around, but you're not actually making progress. But there's almost like a dopamine hit again. We're kind of leaning into that this week. Because it's false progress. Because you feel like you're doing something because it's all the activity, but are you actually going anywhere? Or are you just treading water? The problem with treading water is eventually you're going to get tired. And then it's all going to fall apart. So the mini shift here, and this is almost kind of like why I don't like doing these, because it needs to be so specific for people. Like, it's specific to you, your money, your finances. That's why the podcast was Your Money, Your Life for the longest time. Like, these things are specific to you. But the principle here that we got to talk about with the card juggler for the shift that you're going to make, maybe it's how can you cut a little bit of spending on one of those cards so that you actually make a little bit of progress? Or is it paying the bill early so you're making a little bit of progress with interest? Or is it doing the balance transfer, which people ask me all the time, do I recommend the balance transfer? It depends. If you've got the discipline that you've changed your habits, go for it. Amazing resource. But if you haven't changed the habits, you're just digging a deeper hole. So we have to look at what are the habits that got us here. And that's the shift that we got to make. Is it the spending that we've avoided spending? We don't know what we're spending. Or is it just, things were hard and it's tight? And then keep at it. How can you increase your income? Can you host a garage sale? Can you sell something? Where is a little bit more progress that you can make? And again, all of these, there's no shame. There's no judgment. We just have to look at how we can move forward. Getting stuck in the past isn't going to serve us. All right, the fifth one that I've got today, we talked a little bit about this one in the intro episode as well. That is the perfectionist. So the perfectionist is a little bit obsessive about getting it done right. But then when something doesn't go exactly right, we get stuck in the shame and the guilt, and then we quit, okay? So maybe it's whatever, like you're budgeting and QuickBooks something, you missed a receipt, you're off by 5 cents, and you're like, oh, that's it, I'm done. Like, it just becomes overwhelming. You feel like a failure and you give up. The perfectionist also could refuse to buy things, refuse to splurge, even when they have the money to do that, almost like a punishment. This is where we get like the penny pinching, because it's like, I'm going to have the perfect budget. I'm not going to spend money. Like, even when I could do this, even when it's feasible, it's within the budget, all of those things, like, I'm not going to do it because it's almost like a badge of honor. Maybe you're cutting your grocery budget and eating crap foods, and then you feel like crap, but then you're overspending elsewhere. Like, we try to make one thing perfect, or maybe it's all the things. Maybe you're associating spending in general with failure. So then you're avoiding even like healthy purchases to make. Or you're obsessively editing the spreadsheet or whatever it might be for hours upon hours, but you're avoiding the real numbers. The underlying thing here is we feel like we have to get it right, but then when the mistake shows up, you take yourself out with shame and guilt and you stop, as opposed to looking for progress. So that's the shift. And this one, a little bit harder to quantify, but we have to practice progress. Good enough. What's the good enough line? The tracking instead of the perfectionism. What's one area that we're being perfectionist? What area that we're being a perfectionist in that you can let go? Okay? We've actually got 6 this week for our half stepper. So our final one is the Depriver. Now, the Depriver kind of sounds almost self-explanatory, but essentially you are going to the extreme to punish yourself. Not letting yourself buy coffee, grab takeout, get new clothes, whatever it might be, because you don't deserve it. That one, it's not really a half stepper. It's like the too far stepper. But the shift that I want you to make, if you are struggling to allow yourself anything like that, is allow yourself one small joy. What could it be? Could it be a dollar store candle? Could it be a single rose? Whatever it might be. Allow yourself a little bit of joy and pleasure. Money related. All right, the reset mantra that I have for the half steppers, let's quickly recap them, okay? We talked about the safety saver. This is the one that hoards the cash. They hold on to everything because they need to feel safe and they won't invest. Then we had the half step strategist. So they start strong, but then they stop. They take the action and then they stop. Then we had the spreadsheet dreamer who loves creating all the systems, loves doing the things, like creating them, but doesn't actually do anything with them. The card juggler, they are shuffling debt from one late fee, they're shuffling debt around, robbing Peter to pay Paul. They've got all the disciples involved. Then we have the perfectionist, and the perfectionist is obsessively trying to get it perfect, because if they don't get it perfect, then they feel shame, they feel guilt, and they quit. And then lastly, the Depriver, and that one was kind of self-explanatory. That's using extreme restriction, like you're punishing yourself for something maybe you feel responsible for, maybe you feel like you haven't earned it. Again, all the money rules, we can see how so many of these intersect together. But that's it. We made it. Those are all of the money roles where we are sabotaging ourselves that we're going to talk about in this series. So if you find yourself falling into one of these half-steppers, the reset centering mantra I've got for you today is, I finish this step. I finish what I started. My consistency builds freedom. I finish what I started. My consistency builds freedom. And I'm going to add the other part on here. And this is truly like a centering mantra in general. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm safe. I'm right where I need to be. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm safe. I'm right where I need to be. And that little phrase there, if you are feeling dysregulated, because so many of these things we talked about, right? It's mindset, it's beliefs, it's all of these things that affect how we take action around our money. So we've got to work on those things. But I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm all right, I'm right where I need to be. That is like a general centering mantra. It helps regulate nervous system, all of those things. Okay. So are you wanting to finish this step with support? If you're ready to finish what you started, at a minimum, grab the Money Mindset Playbook. It's your guide to shifting the beliefs underneath this half-stepping so that you can follow through. You can grab that absolutely free, aimeecerka.com/mindset. Link is going to be in the show notes as well. We also reference Execution Lab quite a bit today. So Execution Lab is my monthly coaching and co-working membership. One time a month, we get together, we work on our finances. I'm there to for questions when questions come up. If you're paralyzed, you're like, I don't even know where to start. Execution Lab is a perfect place to be because we make time for the things that we need to do within our finances. If you've got one of my other workshops, perfect. This is the place. Execution Lab is the place to make sure that it doesn't just become another resource sitting on the digital shelf. If you don't have any of my products yet, Execution Lab is a perfect way for us to get started working together. It's only $9 a month. It is an open membership, so you can cancel at any time. I'll put that link in the show notes as well. It should be aimeecerka.com/execution lab. All right. Remember, you don't have to stop halfway or punish yourself with restriction. Freedom comes from consistent, imperfect action. Now, we have covered the sabotaging money roles. We started with the earners who are leaking money, then we went to the avoiders, then we were covered the overdoers, and then today with the half-steppers, which means next week we get to dive into how to step into the money role that you want to be in. We know where we don't want to be, and we've sat with the uncomfortableness of that. It's time to finally embody, step into the money role that you are called to have. All right, we'll talk about it next time. I'll see you then.